Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Shevia. I'm from A class, semester 4. So in this video, I want to fulfill my midterm assignment from curriculum and material development. So the first question is my opinion or our opinion about curriculum. So in my opinion, curriculum is a program that made to obtain appropriate learning targets along with the development of the era and the curriculum in the world of education continues to change and everything is adapted to the needs of students in their respective areas. And so the second question is review the chapters from the two books that the McAllister books and the Richards books. So from the chapter one, by McAllister book, curriculum design can be thought of as a kind of writing activity which is useful for learning as a process. And chapter one is presents a model for each part of the curriculum design process, and it also focuses on different parts of the model in the curriculum design process. And there is a summary of the steps like examining the environment, assessing needs, deciding on principles, setting goals, selecting and sequencing content, designing lessons formats, incorporating assessment procedures, and evaluating courses. So the purpose of this chapter is to briefly explain the key components of the curriculum design model. And also, chapter one by Richard Books is describes curriculum development from the historical background of the syllabus and curriculum to facilitate language teaching. And also the syllabus design approach outlined in chapter one is was largely sufficient to support language teaching well into the 1950s. And it consists of a focus of general English using material that is graded for vocabulary level and linguistic difficulties. And for chapter two by McAllister book, this is the second chapter, is deals with environmental analysis. So involving looking at the factors that will have a strong influence on decisions about course objective and what to include in courses and how to teach and assess them. So there are three factors in environmental analysis, namely students, teachers, and the situations. So for the environmental analysis is an important part of curriculum design because at the most basic level, it ensures that the course will be usable and also to find out about the success or failure of the learning method. And then chapter two from Richard Book, it describes other approaches to language teaching that are also available, such as the role of commercially structured English book around topics, situation, and praise, as well as some technical issues that focus on the English language or the English spoken in certain jobs. That like refers to the change in syllabus design approaches to curriculum development in relation to the search for new method in order to meet the changing needs of learners. So in addition, the needs and objectives of teaching English is in English for specific purposes or ESP. So the ESP implemented through the approach is also presented. And from chapter 3 is both of book is the same sub I mean the same title. So it's a needs analysis from Richard book and also from McAllister book. So I want to talk about the needs analysis itself first. So needs is the basic things of human based in our desire. That's why it is important. And definition of needs to be learned is a process for diagnosis based on student prior knowledge and comprehension. And to know students level course, like we have to consider the course that are relevant based on what we need and we want to learn. This is Mr. Ian once told us about this. And also I'm gonna talk about the chapter 3 by McAllister books. So in chapter 3, the McAllister is discussed about what needs to be learned and what the learners want to learn. So in analyzing the needs, some cases should be considered in discovering learners' needs. So they are necessities, lacks, and wants. After discovering the needs, the curriculum designers should also decide the content and the presentation feature which can meet students' needs. And because needs analysis is basically kind of research, it is important to get research questions right as soon as possible and use this to guide the choice of methods of data gathering. And also from Richard Book is discuss the needs analyzing approach and considers the purpose of needs analysis, the nature of the needs and who the needs analysis is aimed at, who is the target population, and who collects the informations. So what procedures can be used and how the information collected can be obtained. So in many cases, the learner's language needs may be relatively easy to determine, especially if the learner needs to study the language for a very specific purpose. For example, a job in a field such as tourism, nursing, or the hospitality industry. And also, the last question is our perspective about what kind of good language curriculum design that can be implemented. So, this is based on my perspective. So, according to my perspective, a good language curriculum design to be implemented for students is also a curriculum that can plan and distribute the learning process time properly and proportionately in the stage of review, overview, explanation of the material, exercises, and evaluating of learning. And also, a good curriculum is that can achieve the learning objective, and a teacher can design the curriculum according to the needs of the students. Therefore, the teacher can conduct an analysis in advance to find out the necessities, lacks, and wants of each student in learning a language. So, an example of a good language curriculum design is that the teacher can provide positive feedback and reinforcement in the form of oral, written gestures, or rewards for the success of the students. And then students can also see their progress in understanding lessons. So that's all my answer about the three questions about curriculum. So thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.